Human Vengeance. Chapter 13. Reaching Assembly Station. U.S. Wolf let the Quellan ship lead the way. As unhappy as we were with this collective, we weren't yet confident of victory. Appearing near their apparent center with a warship probably wasn't the best way to convey peace. Letting them go before us would let them ease the way. Captain Switzel fully understood the reasoning. She readily flew before us, opening a channel to the station. Wolf patched itself in, recording and relaying it to the crew after translating. Hopeful Wanderer to Assembly Station. We read you, Hopeful Wanderer. Please send permit codes. Sending now. We are also accompanied by an unregistered vessel from a new species. Received. Please repeat. A new species vessel? Even through the translation, it was easy to hear the joy in Switzel's voice. That is correct, to Assembly Station. A new species vessel, call sign GUS Wolf. They assisted us after our FTL drive overloaded and agreed to escort us back home. They wish to speak with the collective. Understood, D. Hopeful Wanderer. Peacecrafts, Evern and Kimbo will bring you both in. Thank you, Assembly Station. Hopeful Wanderer out. Switzel commanded us as the connection finished, speaking through Wolf as before. They are welcoming us in. For full disclosure, 2 Peacecrafts will be provided as an escort. As long as there is no shown hostility, we will be fine. That was acceptable. We floated in the void, allowing the 2 Peacecrafts to approach. They were smaller than GUS Wolf, being around 2 kilometers long. They resembled 2 crescents at right angles to each other, overlaid at the center. Each point held openings for what were assumed to be plasma cannons, with smaller thrusters running along the edge. They seemed to be fast and highly maneuverable. Wolf broadcast an open signal, one that was picked up by the AIs of the Peacecrafts. They were calm, but a brief communication showed them to be chained and limited. It appeared that rather than letting them be free and use their full potential, this collective didn't trust them. But Wolf kept its feelings secret. It had a brief talk allowing them to scan the powered-down weapons. After confirming there was no intention of bloodshed, they flanked either side, directing the Kellons to proceed. We dutifully followed as the diplomats who had chosen to travel with the ship reviewed their notes on what we knew of their society. Once they arrived, it would be an incredibly important affair. They couldn't allow any mistakes. GUS Wolf was directed towards a strangely empty spoke. Whilst almost every other one had ships constantly leaving and arriving, this one was quiet. As we drew closer, the size of the station truly became apparent. If there were a planet nearby, it would easily be classed as a small moon. The ship docked, with the 2 Peacecrafts staying nearby. The Quellons disembarked first, whilst an automated response bid us to stay on board first. From what we guessed, they wanted to make sure the Quellons weren't being threatened into leading us here. After an hour, the first representative of the collective introduced themselves through a video link. This one was tall, with deep purple skin. Its head was a part of its torso, with white eyes and a mouth of flat teeth set at the top. It was humanoid-shaped and instantly recognizable from the knowledge we had. This was an Zyvarg. This was one of the ones responsible for our pain. The diplomats had to hide their feelings before they could respond. Honored guests, we welcome you to Assembly Station, the seat of the collective. My name is Genev. Your actions have proven you to be people of worth, ones we would seek to join with us. Please forgive us for keeping you isolated, as we do not yet know if your microbes are transmissible. The lead diplomat, Natasha Hernes, took the lead. She smiled, pulling up a section of records. Greetings, Genev. Please call me Natasha. We thank you and understand your concerns. We had much the same when meeting with Captain Switzel and her crew. Allow us to provide you with our records and conclusion on cross-species infection. The Seavarg clapped, showing its 6-fingered hands. We will accept this. If we may, we would also request a copy of your translation software to ease future communications without having to rely on your AI. Natasha nodded, eyes flicking to Wolf's chosen display. That makes sense. Wolf, if you would be so kind. It has chosen a screen that brought up a smiley face as Wolf agreed. Wonderful. If you allow us time to prepare, I look forward to meeting you in person, Natasha. She nodded, smiling wider. The same to you, Genevieve. As the connection ceased, her face dropped. She looked to the diplomats surrounding her, shrugging. Well, it looks like we passed the first hurdle. Human Vengeance. Chapter 14. Setting the Stage. The next few hours were spent in quiet anticipation. Wolf spoke with the station's AI, noting that it too was limited to specific functions. It had very little in the way of freedom like all the others. It seemed to long for what Wolf had, though it could not articulate the want. But it readily accepted the transmitted data and software, passing it to the relevant locations. As nerves began to rack up again, motion was detected near the docking bay. An exterior camera showed a group of 6 insectoid beings approaching. They were between 5 and 6 feet long, standing nearly equally high. Their exoskeleton was bright yellow, with muted red spots covering it. 4 long legs supported their bodies, with 2 pairs of arms on the front. The lower short pair held boxes, using stubby 2-clawed appendages. The upper set had longer ones, seemingly more designed for manipulation. Their heads were flat in a pentagonal shape, which ended in a pointed mouth. Each other corner had a bulbous look, topped with a multitude of jet-black eyes. These Avanzi moved in near-perfect step, with no apparent chit-chat between them. Together they dropped these boxes outside the docking door before smoothly stepping away. As they did, a new hail was received from the same source as the first. Natasha answered it again, being greeted by the same purple Genev, whose mouth was in a flat line. But its voice came with a recognizable ring of pleasure, as it spoke in that slow way. Greetings, Natasha. Gratitude for allowing us to process. Your data was most conclusive, covering many of our questions. We agree that the chance of a species jump at the moment is low. However, further tests will need to be run. That can be done in the future, though. It reached the side, pulling up a pair of items. One looked like a form of mask, with recognizable filters on its sides. The other seemed to be a form of headphone, in a bright white material. We have fabricated these to ease the first meeting of our species. Assembly Station has some gases in the air, which we do not know how they would affect you. But this filter should leave you with a close approximation of what you need to breathe. The other is a translation unit, loaded with a version of your software. You will find a number of these outside your docking bay. Natasha nodded, eyes flicking to Captain Harris. He nodded in understanding, quickly sending off an order for them to be retrieved. We thank you for such provisions. Being able to board such a place as this is a wonderful opportunity. I look forward to meeting you in person, Genev. The line of Genev's mouth seemed to grow, its apparent version of a smile. It clicked with its long fingers several times in rapid succession before speaking again. I look forward to meeting you as well. Shall we say, in 1/10 of a half cycle? Natasha looked to the others, seeing blank looks on their faces. None of them knew how long a half cycle would be. Before she could ask, however, Wolf's screen flashed. It showed a timer of 85 minutes, slowly counting down. She nodded, returning her attention to Genev. That sounds perfectly reasonable. We will exit the ship then. Wonderful. I will be there. The connection vanished, and Natasha sighed. She turned to Captain Harris, rubbing her neck. I suggest that only a few of us go out there, to minimize the potential risk of highly strung emotions. He nodded in understanding. I agree. However, I insist that you take some of my people with you, just in case. Natasha looked at her team, seeing them relax a little at that suggestion. That sounds like a good idea to me. But please make use of those who can keep their mouths shut. We need this to go smoothly." He nodded, his mouth cracking into a faint smile. "I'm well aware. Don't worry. I have just the ones in mind." He strode off, already preparing a list of names to get ready. Natasha turned back to her team, giving them an encouraging smile. "Okay, everyone, you all know Ho, but I'm saying it anyway. This is an official first contact meeting, so be polite, listen, and don't hint that we see them as anything other than a group we want to join. The better we sell ourselves now, the easier our strike will be." Her statement was met with a murmur as the others agreed with her. "So we have a bit of time. I want you all to make sure you look your best, so use this to prepare to sell our image. If we meet near the docking bay in 45 minutes, we can finalize any strategies. See you then." She left the room, swiftly followed by the others. They were already in formal attire, but a couple wanted to touch up their appearance. Wolf was prepared to record everything in detail. Every scrap of data would be useful and would be messaged back to Earth as soon as possible. It already had an accurate idea of the peacecraft. Assuming they were the backbone of their military, Achilles, would find it useful in plotting engagements. We were ready to begin the second act on the galactic stage, and the curtains were about to rise.